Hi, today I'll be discussing about web content management, the roles of web content management, and the effect of web content management on an online system or an online platform. In current trend, various industries use web content management. Specifically, we are targeting education sector like universities and schools. Today, I'll be your presenter. I am Suresh Ponraj. This is the agenda for today's presentation. Initially, I'll start with defining what web content management systems are, giving a brief description of what web content management is and what it is supposed to do. Next, I'll be explaining the various roles present in web content management. Then I'll be discussing about how web content management will help the universities if implemented properly. If the universities continue without web content management, there might be issues cropping into the system, and I'll be explaining about the various issues that will be faced. Then I'll be giving some key points on how web content management can be implemented, and I'll be discussing some previous studies which other universities have used and the benefits they have gotten out of it. Then I'll finish my presentation with some recommendations on how to implement web content management and choosing the best web content management strategies. So, web content management systems. Web content management is a process and not a product. The process is aided by softwares for the management of heterogeneous content on the web, encompassing a life cycle that runs from creation to destruction. A web content management system separates the construction and display of web pages from their content. CMSs allow for controlling the look and feel of the web pages centrally while distributing responsibility for the content. Most CMSs separate the creation of content from the editorial control of the content and include some level of workflow control. So this is a basic description of what web content management is. Let's move on to the roles of web content management. There are different roles involved in web content management, but most commonly used roles are listed here: the content author, the content editor, the content publisher, and the web management. The names of the roles speaks for itself. The content author is the creator of any content that goes into the web pages. Content editor is the one who analyzes the content and makes some changes if needed, and then passes on to the content publisher. Content publisher is the one who finally approves the content and publishes it into the web pages. The actual layout of the page and its overall look and feel are controlled centrally by a web manager. Web manager can ensure a consistent system of navigation in all areas of the site. This slide shows you a pictorial representation of the content workflow. As discussed in the previous slide, it shows the roles of the content management system: content author, content editor, and the content publisher. So, CMSs enable good workflow processes. In most complex workflow system, three different individuals create, approve, and publish a piece of content. They will be working independently, and in some cases, the tasks will be dependent, and also there will be a web manager acting above them. Now let us see how web content management will help your university. If web content management is implemented in the universities, it'll help in enhancing the asynchronous and synchronous communication. There are lots of communication present within the universities, such as announcement areas, emails, chats, lists and servers, instant messaging, and discussion forums. Implementing content management system will help in enhancing those communication systems. Similarly, universities need to publish learning resources, development of the learning object repositories, and link to internet resources. Web content management will help in the content development and the delivery of those resources. Also, assessments need to be happened in the university, like submissions, multiple choice testing, collaborative work, and feedback. Content management system will give a formative and summative assessment strategies. Also, it also enables class and user management, like registering, enrolling, displaying timetables, managing student activities, and electronic office hours. These are some of the main advantages of web content management, and if all the four things are achieved in an university, the system will be very effective and efficient. Within the limit, the structure and process and online appearance of the system can be customized. The system can be linked with an institution, others with an institution. Different types and levels of support and training are offered in particular systems, and in commercial systems, these typically constitute significant parts of the package. This concludes the content management benefits. Now, let us see the issues if content management systems are not a part of your university or any other universities. The first problem will be the bottlenecks. The web management function can become a bottleneck for content revision. Content arrives in different forms and has to be edited. There are loads of content nowadays, and and all the content has to go into the web page in some form suitable for publishing on the web. Funneling content through a web manager resource can lead to delay in publishing on the web. Consistency. Where web editing is developed to departments, there can be inconsistencies in the look and feel of the site. Navigation. When structure and content are not closely controlled, there is a danger that navigation and search capabilities will suffer. This is of major importance, as without these, it becomes hard for the user to find the required information, thus degrading the value of the entire intranet. Data duplication. In many cases, content on the web is a copy of data held in the departmental or institutional system. Changes to one system has to be manually replicated into other systems. Ideally, data will not be stored redundantly in an organization. Without web content management, these data might not be organized properly, and there are heavy chances of data duplications into the system. Content audit and control. Unauthorized content may appear on the website. Material published on the web should be subject to a review and authorization process to ensure it is acceptable from a marketing and a legal viewpoint. Tracking. To use content efficiently, and it is necessary to know about the content, such as who created it, when was it created, and when was it last updated. The ability to track and reconstruct the changes that have occurred in the content is an important part of content management. Finally, the business process. Content is often tied tightly to the business processes. For example, the production of market intelligence report is a complex business process which involves data collection, data analysis, and generation of commercials and forecasts. Not only the final report is published on the web, not only any content published on the web, it needs to be updated and revised on a regular basis. Content management system provides a tool, it acts as a tool to in reducing all these issues, but without content management system, these issues are more likely to happen in the system, which will affect its efficiency. Implementation of a web content management. I'm gonna provide you with some key goals that needs to be implemented in order to achieve a content management system. Distribute content management content control to the users throughout the university identified as responsible for content on the website. Restructure the navigation and architecture to enable our target audiences to more easily and completely find information of interest to them. Redesign the graphical appearance of the site to improve its appeal to the target audiences. Previous studies. We have conducted previous studies and we have researched many universities that have implemented content management system, and we have listed the benefits. One such university is University of Edinburgh. It is the only university in UK to have a content management system strategy. They implemented way back in 2007. The strategy is supported by an action plan. The strategy recommends an establishment of an appropriate infrastructure to facilitate greater use of Web 2.0 tools. Web 2.0 tools is used to implement control web content management systems. These universities used blogs and RSS feeds instead of newsletters. The newsletters are like internal human information services staff newsletter, the MLRP project updates, and several other newsletters. Since they used blogs, the reach to the students was more than the newsletters. They used mapping technologies such as Google Maps to supplement or replace the online version of the university campus maps. This would enable directions to be generated automatically, and it helps the students to get anywhere in the campus with a minimal support of others. Social bookmarking technologies such as Dell.icio.us is used to manage course reading list, perhaps a collaborative way so that students can benefit from other discoveries of relevant material. Social bookmarking can support development projects and research projects, allowing an information resource base to be constructed in a collaborative way. Were provided for public lectures. So if students miss the lectures, they can always go back into the system. If they have proper access, they can listen to the lectures which was posted in the system, and they can do it how many ever times they want. Um, Next, continuing the benefits, the it helped the University of Edinburgh to identify key individuals, especially among senior administrators and senior academics. Provision of training to show how the tools and approaches they foster can be integrated into their daily practices. Support of above with promotional activity, they gathered good practice and they started fostering a community, and they provided the ability to surface the systems through university website and MyEd portal. These these benefits help University of Edinburgh to manage the system very well. Now, let me propose you some recommendations to make the web content management system an effective one. There are some key goals to be undertaken. The first one is to streamline and automate content administration. The database is a key to CMS. Um, Likewise, historically, web content has consisted of static pages, files of HTML. Clearly, HTML is a time consuming and a labor intensive process. In a contrast, if web CMS is being implemented, it will significantly reduce this overhead by hiding the complexities of HTML. Web forms has to be implemented in the content administration. In an ideal web CMS, all content administration is performed through web forms using web browser. Proprietary software and specialized expertise are not required for content management. Users simply copy and paste existing content or fill in the blanks on the form. Distribute content management and control. Web Manager has often been a critical bottleneck in the timely publication and ongoing maintenance of web content. Web CMS remove the bottlenecks by distributing content management responsibilities to individuals throughout the organization. Separate content from layout and design. In a web CMS, content is stored separately from its publication format. For example, university's mission statement could be stored in a raw text format or XML, then formatted as needed to reflect separate graphical designs. Create reusable content repositories. The web CMS should be developed in a way that the content which is published into the web CMS, the softwares, the repositories used should be reusable in order to reduce the complexity of the system. Also, the workflow management has to be automated. Good CMSs enable good workflow processes. In most complex workflow system, three different individuals create, approve, publish a piece of web content with a web manager overseeing everything, as we discussed in the role of content management system. Finally, a system has to be built with a sophisticated security. Security is a very integral part of a system or an online platform for any university. It avoids breaches. Finally, I'd like to conclude by giving a few insights on how to choose CMS. Many institutions face some primary choices when considering CMSs. Universities with a large development staff may want to create a custom solution in the house. Others might want to explore development frameworks such as Allied Macadromia, Spectra, or Net Objects Fusion, and there are much more available in the market. So we have to choose a CMS that suits the university in the way it wants to represent the university. Thank you for listening to the presentation. Have a good day.